Okay,
No?
I don't think we're live, but we're going to be going live in a second.
Okay, so I'll have to say that again.
Go ahead. You want to start us off, Grace?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are going to be talking about our events that we're having here in the San Fernando Valley. But first of all, what are we doing? We're recording a live podcast that's uncut. So all my ums and all my mistakes will be out there for everyone to see.
Right. So we are live, raw, and uncut. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, we just went up without editing the video, and it's live now. So we're going to go right into the intro music. Maybe not. Oh, I got to turn it up.
Board Gaming with Education, a podcast for anyone curious about how games and education mix. We explore various topics like game-based learning, gamification, and board games, and the impacts they have on learning. Here's your host, Dustin Stats.
And Grace is here with me today. So
Yes.
we are going to talk about our events that we host in the San Fernando Valley area
Yes.
in Los Angeles. And we host a board game night about once a month, as well as some board game classes. So we're actually in the area or the event space right now. You can see the whiteboard behind us.
Yes.
We have some games on this side of us. So we're excited to kind of talk about the games we played at our last one, since our next one's coming up February 23rd at 5 p.m. Yes, this Sunday.
So this Sunday at 5, we'll be here in this space. And right now it kind of looks like a classroom because you can only see the whiteboard, but it's a really nice space. It's open, and they host a lot of community events here. And so there's plenty of space for us to play.
And we're going to talk about, for this episode, we're just going to chat and talk about the games we played at our last event and kind of how the event went, but more so just chatting about board games. So the first game we're going to talk about is, I always want to start off our board game event night episodes with a new game, not new to us, but like new as in maybe there's a publisher who sent us a preview copy, or we just got a game recently from our Kickstarter that we played. So the first one, and this one is also a sponsor of Board Game with Education. We got to play this at our board game event night last month. Was it in January, right? It was in January.
Yes, so we started these in 2020. So our first one was in January, and the second one's this Sunday for February.
And that's February
23rd.
I was going to say 24th. I always get, whenever I share the events, I always mix up the times and dates.
Yeah,
So
it's terrible.
February 23rd at 5 p.m. And
Yes.
it will go to about 8. So we'll have some light snacks. Last time we had some like chicken wraps and some chips and some drinks, a little bit of soda and
Soda water, yeah.
Soda water, yes.
Yeah.
And also prizes. So we do raffles. We're going to do a raffle next time. We only had a few people turn out, so the raffle didn't really get going.
Yeah, so last time we decided not to do the raffle just because the number of people that were here and family was here. So it didn't seem right to just, gift it to family. So
Yeah, so next time, this Sunday, we'll have a raffle for...
not to say my family can't win, but yeah.
Well, if you do play a game and you win a game, there are certain games that if you do play to win, you get an extra ticket in the raffle. So
we do have the
your
play
family's
to win.
Invited back to play.
Yeah. Well, we just had at that point decided we were just gonna hold off till our second one to do the raffle. Just because the first one we had people come in, but it was staggered. So not everyone was like fully there the whole time, which is fine. We don't expect everyone to stay the full 3 hours.
Yeah, we do.
But I mean, it'd be good.
You'll have fun.
But yeah, with the staggering that was happening, it just made more sense to wait till the next time when hopefully we have more people.
So, what games did we play? First, I forgot, we talked about Facing Off a little bit. Well, we introduced the game. What is
Yes.
Facing Off? Do you want to talk about it?
So going back to Facing Off, I really enjoy this one just because I like to draw. But basically, you need a odd number of players, and you need to have quite a few players. But we sit on different sides of the table, and a group on one side is explaining to their teammate across the way what one of the face cards looks like. So there you're describing a caricature, and the other person.
I think we have a picture of what those look like. So
Yeah.
everyone's drawing the same face, right? And you're trying to describe what the face looks like to the other players.
Yeah, and the other players, based on your description, are trying to draw as closely as they can a representation of what you're saying. But the thing that makes it fun is you have a time limit, and because everyone's kind of talking at the same time, and you need clarification because some people aren't explaining it well. But you, as a person drawing, cannot say anything. So you're kind of just like, I hope what I'm drawing makes somewhat of a sense. But it was a lot of fun. And the odd person, so the person without a pair, actually gets to be the judge. So they get to determine who they think did the best job. And that was a lot of fun. I personally enjoyed being the judge because less stressful, and also judging people can be fun. But it was good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing. There's a couple things though that because we talked to the designer about the game. It's currently on Kickstarter. You can go to Kickstarter and search Facing Off and find it. We realize you are allowed to ask questions. I talked to the designer.
Oh, really?
So you are allowed to ask questions, but it's still, I think it would make the game just as engaging. And
I mean, to be honest, some of us did break that rule, and we were talking to the other person. And also, you only have a limited amount of time, so it's not like you asking questions will really, it'll help, but you're at a time limit, so it's fun, just like all the chaos that ensues. In a good way, of course.
Now, oh man, now I might be wrong. I can't remember if you can ask questions or not. I remember having the conversation. So I don't have the rules, and we played it the one time, but you can check out the rules on Kickstarter and double check. And I would say it was a lot of fun. The one thing, you don't have to be a drawer. Like I had a blast playing it because
it makes it a lot funnier. Or
are you making fun of my drawings?
Maybe.
So yeah, it was cool because we had, and you don't need an odd number, but I think I always sat out to make it an odd number. There is a even player count rule set to the game. We just did the odd player rule set because we had people show up and we were ready to play, and I wasn't quite sure how to change the rules for even. So, and it looked a little bit more engaging with the betting mechanic for odd number players. But it was a lot of fun. We had players that didn't really ever play board games, and they came in and played. And
that's the one thing that was nice about this game is there's basically no barrier, so it's something that can be easily picked up, which was nice.
Easily taught.
Easily taught, and that's some of the demographic we had on Sunday, which was nice. I really like that because that means in these events we can like hopefully instill this like fun board gaming fever in people. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but it was great to have non-gamers there because it only made it that more satisfying when I saw them having a great time.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to go back to how it's easy to teach. Like it essentially is like a 30-second teach, and then you have to go over a couple like rules that are particular to how you can explain and how you can draw, and you kind of there's a couple tips in the rule book which are nice to help new players understand how to play.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. And also on Kickstarter, I saw this is something really cool. Is I don't know. I'm not sure if they're still limited. I'm gonna check, so you can maybe talk more about the game while I go check on Kickstarter now.
Well, the game itself, I think, is pretty cool. So the paddles that you have are actually where you draw on. So they kind of have like a whiteboard material to it. And so it's very quick, very easy to clean up as well. And it's, I don't know, a lot of fun. People are moving around the table as you rotate for the next round. And it's very engaging as a game.
You gotta keep talking because I'm not quite there yet. I'm just looking to see if the rewards. So they have the $35 the Kickstarter edition, Kickstarter and coasters, Kickstarter with expansion, and then the works. So that's what's available now.
I'd be curious to see what the expansion with the faces look like, because they do have some with in the deck where it's a little bit harder, and so we went with the easy ones. So they have different levels, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, the last one, the works, is the one that I was trying to find, and I found it. You get to print your Bitmoji or avatar on to one of the cards, so that's really cool. You can have your face on one of the cards. Looks like there are, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this. 65 left, 65 of 87. Ooh. So there's still a few of those left. So if you are interested in having your face on a board game card,
actually, I think I need to do that.
All right, so that was facing off. We also played. I don't have a picture for this one. We also played Just One, so we'll go into the next game. But before we talk about Wits and Wagers, talk about Just One.
Yeah. So I have played Just One before, and I personally, at first, when I a few months ago when I first learned about the game and we started playing, I was like, okay, this seems like maybe a little too simple. But then, I don't know, as the game goes on, it's really a lot of fun, and it's very challenging, especially if you have people that are thinking the same way. Like, I think, who was it? Was it me and my dad, or me and you? Or, I don't know. But we would all, part of the game is you're trying to give a person clues so they can guess a certain word on their card that they can't see. But the clues you give cannot be the same. So each person secretly writes one of the words that will be the clue. And then the clue givers share their clues. And if anyone has the same clue, you just scratch that clue and you can't give it to the person. So that kind of limits the number of clues they get. And so if you have a lot of like-minded people, it kind of narrows down the clues you can give, and that makes it more challenging and kind of fun.
Yeah, and Dave here he runs a blog called University XP, and he talks about using game-based learning and gamification. He just commented, and he said that he bought 2 and combined it in one box, which is a good idea for more players. I mean, there's really no player limit to the game, right? Because as long as you're not using the same clues, or maybe it's just a lot of the same clues and they get eliminated.
Yeah, and it's fun because I've played it also when it depends also how well you know the people, and you throw a clue out there that is kind of far out there, like maybe a TV show that kind of relates, or a movie. And it's just funny seeing people's expression where they just don't relate it at all.
Yeah, I love the stories that come from it. And then Dave mentioned he thought it said pottery, and he said Swayze as his clue from, what is that movie? Maybe Dave might have to
I don't know.
Have to chime in. It's he's like doing the pottery behind the girl, and they're making ceramics.
Oh, isn't that Ghost?
Is that what it is?
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, it's Eddie's movie. Yeah.
But it's just funny because after each round, usually it brings up conversation based on your clue, like that obscure thing that I wrote or that name brand that I would hope they attach to this word. It just brings up stories, and it's a great time for people to kind of share. And just like we were saying earlier, games are a great way to break the ice, like an icebreaker. So I think this one was one of those games where even if you don't know the other players, like great conversations will come out of it.
Yeah. And Dave said thank you for getting that right. It is Ghost is the name of the game.
Okay. That's why I was really confused by what you were referring to.
All right. And then the other game we played was Wits and Wagers, which you had never played before, but I played it
No, I
previously.
haven't.
What did you think about the game?
I thought it was a lot of fun, and you could actually learn random facts, which I thought was really fun and interesting. And as a player, you get to decide what question you ask the rest of the group, and the question usually has to do with a number.
So here's one question here.
Oh my. Okay.
How old is Ariel in The Little Mermaid? I think is the
Oh.
kind of maybe hard to read, but
I feel like we always assume the princesses are older than they actually are. So I'm going to go with like, I don't know, 14. That's really young. I mean, that's too young.
maybe, yeah. Actually, when I made some guesses for the picture, I put 13, 16, 17, 18, and 20.
Okay.
So those might be the guesses you might get from everybody playing the game. And then everyone gets to choose where to place a big meeple and a small meeple. And the big meeple's worth 2 points, the small meeple's worth 1 point. And whoever is closest gets some points too.
Right.
So, yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's a super simple game too, and again, it's super easy to teach and pick up and get going.
I'm curious, what was the answer to Ariel?
I'm gonna look that up right now so you can talk more about what's in Wagers.
The nice thing is also when you look up the answer on the card, it also gives you the source. And I believe you said that people can actually submit questions.
Yeah.
Is that part of it? So
At least
in the
in
next,
this version, yeah.
Yeah, in the next release, it might be available. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it's pretty cool. You could see not just where they got the source from or the information from, but also if it was someone out there that gave them this question, they had a little bio of them, which is cool.
Yeah, and it looks like Ariel is 16.
Okay.
So
I was going a little too young.
one of my guesses was correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so Wits and Wagers, the family edition at least, is the one that we have.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different versions. Definitely recommend checking that one out too.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this one is we had some second English as a second language players. And because all the answers are numbers and the questions are pretty easy to understand, I think that really helps. There's no language barrier in this case. The questions you can kind of describe to help, and it makes people feel a little bit less nervous if you just have to write down a number. Because I remember with just one, there were some language barriers that we worked through, but Wits and Wagers was a lot easier to get through.
Right. And that's Wits and Wagers by North Star Games. Really good game. I recommend it.
Yeah.
The next game we played, or actually we played this one, I think first.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we played that.
Because it was just someone showed up a little early, and your aunt came pretty early too. So it was, and I was still setting up, so you played with them. And this is a game from Korea. If you can see on the picture, there's some of the player cards are in Korean. But you don't really need to know any language to play.
Not at all. And this one was fun. Like he said, people came early, so we just needed a light game to start, and it was quick and easy to learn. And I believe, how would you describe it? Like a betting
It's a
game?
bluffing, kind of bluffing and
I don't know how
auction
to
game.
describe it. Oh, the auction. There you go.
Yeah, because I didn't play with you guys, and I can't remember the rules exactly outside of like, oh, that's right. Your total coins or chips are secret. You're supposed to keep them hidden, but you're auctioning for the cards. And if you see in the picture, there's 3 different animals.
Yeah, so there's different animals that you are trying to get a collection of, and based on the number of that you collect, equals the number of victory points. So each round begins by the first player placing a bet on the table, and it goes around the table. The next person has to outbid that player, and until everyone passes or the last person stands, that bet is distributed to the losing players, and that winner can then take all the cards from the middle and distribute the cards to whoever they want. So they can keep what they want, but they can also kind of hurt people by giving them animals that they don't necessarily want. Because if you have one of a certain animal at the end of the game, it's actually negative points and things like that. So there's ways to kind of interact with other players. And I think this was really nice as a first game because the 3 of us, like, we didn't know each other. And so it was a very simple, like, let me outbet you. And I mean, at first they were playing nice because, you know, when you first meet people, you want to be nice. And then slowly as the game progressed, they were giving each other cards to kind of mess up their score. So
Yeah, I think it's a quick game again. I mean, that's the theme of these board game event nights, is just finding something that's easy to teach, that's doable with more players.
yeah, and I think it also depends on our who shows up. So I think what we saw last month is a lot of people that come are not necessarily gamers, so they just want to check it out and see kind of the event and also see how they can enjoy some games.
Exactly. So again, the event is in the San Fernando Valley area in Los Angeles. If you're in LA or nearby the San Fernando Valley area, come check out one of our free board game nights. We also do board game classes, and right now our topic is science. So we have we have a few science games, but the 2 that we are kind of looking at right now or doing right now is cytosis, so looking at the human cell, and photosynthesis.
Okay. Whenever we play cytosis, I feel like, oh, my biology flashbacks are never good, but I wish I had that maybe when I was in biology. Just because I don't remember a lot of the terminology, which is bad.
Well, it's okay. You're not in biology anymore.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, but I should at least remember some of these.
All right, so thank you for watching. If you joined us live, thank you for commenting.
Thank you,
you, Dave, for sticking around for a bit at least and
Yeah.
watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, podcast@boardgamewitheducation.com, or you can leave a comment below. Subscribe to us on any podcast platform. If you've listened to the show a few times already, leave a review. And anything from you, Grace?
We hope to see you February 23rd at 5 here in the Woodland Hills area at the Legacy Center. And don't be afraid if you haven't played games, or even if you are a hardcore gamer, come check it out. We have plenty of games of all different levels, so you can bring your own game or play one of ours. We have plenty.
All right.
Way more than plenty.
Thank you again, and till next time.
Yeah. Thank you for watching and listening.